Back in April in Beijing, Al Jazeera's Katrina, you invited me to talk Taiwan politics, cross-strait relations, world politics. Unfortunately, the 30-minute interview only got 20 seconds of airtime. The Iran war stole the show. But I got the whole recording right here for you guys. The camera angle is a little borked. Apologies about that, but I think you guys will enjoy it.
Hey everyone, my name is Scott. I am a Chinese American who was born in Taiwan, moved to America when I was 10, spent about 20 years there, and I recently moved back to Taiwan. I used to work in tech. After I quit, I've been writing a lot on socials, especially X or Twitter. I think most people don't call it X yet, so it's just Twitter. I've become a very big Sinophile the past 2 years, and I'm trying to see China as much as I can, or at least the rest of China that I haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
So
this is your second time in China?
My fifth, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So currently I'm on a month-long trip throughout mainland China, seeing all these sites I haven't seen yet, legendary places such as Shaolin Temple, Terracotta, Forbidden City, and also this one's more special to probably people in Taiwan, Sun Yat-sen's mausoleum in Nanjing.
Tell me a little bit about why you are a Sinophile. Like, why are you so interested in coming to China and seeing all these things? So
Yeah.
What do you think you have to learn from coming there?
Yeah, so this could be, I have a very long-winded answer, so let me try to walk through it. Yeah.
Okay.
So ever since my family moved to the States, right, we've been largely disconnected from Chinese culture, partially because we wanted to really assimilate into American culture, right? So we want to learn English, we want to pick up their ways, way of life, we want to be on track in their education system. And partially because, unfortunately, among Chinese people, there's the subset that, if I use the term self-hating Asian, yeah, it's a very common term online, self-hating Asian, which means you reject your roots, you reject your culture, and if I use a very harsh word, and you worship other cultures, right? And I became more of that mindset, ever since stepping foot into America. It was like that for almost 20 years. And then as I got older and I went through some really deep therapy, I realized that there are so much parts of me that I've discovered that I want to grab back. And that's very tied to me just going, tracing my Chinese roots, and just learning about my people's history, their customs, I would say language is not an issue because I've always spoke Chinese at home, but just everything else was kind of missing or even rejected. And this has been very therapeutic in of itself, which is just self-acceptance, self-love.
Really interesting. You were mentioning that this is kind of a journey, I guess, for you to. Can you, even just something so simple as identifying as a Chinese person, what did you identify as before, and how did you find yourself going from that to calling yourself Chinese?
That's a very funny question because I also went through a very long phase of, Taiwan should be independent, that Taiwanese is like a totally separate identity from Chinese, so like, I'm Taiwanese, not Chinese, that kind of thing. And so much so that even these days when now I fully identify as Chinese, there's still a part of me of, this feels wrong because I was told to be Taiwanese for so long, right? And how did that come about? So I think the peak, so I mentioned earlier that my family background is more DPP, so pan green. Put it in very simplified terms, DPP, the Green Colored Party in Taiwan, has been historically more pro-American leaning and lean away from China, and throughout its history, at times it pushed for Taiwanese independence, or at least on the surface it does. So my family's from that background, and as kids you kind of just pick up whatever your parents told you, right? And I wasn't someone who thought for myself for a long time, and then when I started thinking for myself, okay, what is this about? But anyways, so upbringing caused me to pick up the Taiwanese, not Chinese identity, but as I dug into politics more, as I go through deeper healing more, as I go through learn more about China, Chinese history, Chinese culture, I realized this separation is very artificial. It's just wrong on so many axes. I just find the whole Taiwanese identity to be a very, very fake construct. Yeah. So the subtle thing here is that, of course, I can be Taiwanese, but it's on the bedrock of being Chinese, just like you can be Shanghainese or Hong Kong, or you can be a Sichuan person, right? Of course, that's totally legitimate. But you're also Chinese. That like it's like the whole package, right? And that's the part that the Taiwanese independence activism. Yeah.
What is that like after you came to that decision, considering that you were brought up in a kind of DPP following background?
Mm-hmm.
And just from my understanding and my experiences in Taiwan, most young people at least seem to be lean that way. Has that been challenging for you to actually to assert that this is what you believe in, to be so proudly pro-unification?
It was at first because it does become a point of contention with people. It's a very sensitive topic in Taiwan, especially for those who are pro-independence. Over the years, I've learned to just be more confident in what I believe in, and I just state what I believe in, and I'm not trying to change other people's opinion. It's just what I believe in, and if other people have problems with it, then that's cool. But if they think they agree with me, that's also cool. And I also don't go around just like, hey, like be a super gung ho. Oh, this is what I believe in, right? I don't parade around the streets of Taipei saying that. But if that topic comes up, I also don't shy away from speaking my mind.
Could you give me some insight as to, like, I know that it's not a black and white, very simple issue, obviously, but if you could distill your reasoning for why you are pro-unification, why you see yourself as a Chinese person in Taiwan rather than Taiwanese, what would be the top 3 reasons, or what for you is the most convincing or compelling argument for that?
Okay. Well, the first one is that in the real world, you, as a small nation, you have to have a big backer. And for Taiwan, if you want to be independent, then your big backer is America, right? And America, as I think the whole world has seen, is increasingly unreliable. And I'm putting it in very polite terms. It's just, the scene from Star Wars Episode 5. Oh, the deal is getting worse all the time. Yeah, it's that. As a U.S. vassal, you just get more and more problems dumped on you. You get taken advantage of. You get your resources extracted, and you get nothing. Yeah, it's just a liability. So this is a very practical or very pragmatic view, right? So it's just, okay, if Taiwan has to pick a big brother, a big boss, who's the more reliable boss, I think everyone can tell PRC is the serious country in 2026, and America is not. So that's just ignoring all history between Taiwan and mainland China, right? Just like, who should be your boss? So the second one is Taiwan is a Chinese nation. The Civil War is still technically never finished, right? And what does Civil War mean? It's a conflict within the nation. So I would like to see the end of that Civil War, a peaceful end, where both sides reunite to the fullest sense, where both sides heal the traumas from the past. And I think everyone who knows even a bit of Chinese history knows the country went through more than 100 years of war and bloodshed, right? And so much of the trauma from that time is still affecting all of us. And I think it's high time for both sides to work together to heal that. My third reason is also very tied to the first one. So I see in Taiwan the danger of becoming too globalist and too neoliberal, which is picking up like LGBTQ values. Again, nothing against gay people, but just like to push forward that agenda to everyone's face is something I am extremely against. So globalist neoliberal agenda is very apparent, and that they're trying to spread that in Taiwan, and that breaks my heart because essentially those forces are there to confuse people, to make them uprooted, to unground them, and to teach them to forget about who they are, to feed their brains full of lies. And when you can't tell up from down, then you're easy to propagandize, to lie to. Yeah, and that's why so many Taiwanese people can believe this. Oh, I'm Taiwanese. I have nothing to do with China, right? Like, we don't have to even talk about politics. We can forget about PRC, ROC completely. Politics doesn't matter here. They're still Chinese at the end of the day. Yeah, and that's something that the globalist world citizen idea gets in the way.
Going back to your first point about the realistic or the pragmatic view, that I think one of the things that I read on the message that I read in your content was that I guess if Taiwan could be independent on its own, fine, but that's just that you don't see that as a feasible future going forward, that there basically needs to be some backer. do you think it's inevitable that there has to be one? Do you think it is impossible that Taiwan could just stand on its own feet as an island or as it is? Or if we could maybe maintain the status quo for an indefinite period into the future?
I think status quo might be arguable, but to go full independent, if we consider the realities on the ground, right, which is that's the PRC's number one red line for anything. At the moment Taiwan dares to go independent, then hot war is going to break out. And Taiwan's military is not anywhere close to capable of fending off the PRC possible war. In the event where there's no war, Taiwan is not resource independent. It has to rely on imports for energy, for food. You're not a real independent country if you don't have energy or food independence. And they don't even have software independence either. Right? So the PRC has, which is what WeChat, Alipay, AMAP, all the software that everyone uses in China is homegrown, which means other countries cannot meddle with this, right? Like the PRC's government gets to choose what their citizens can interface and interact with. Whereas in Taiwan, where does software come from? It's all American. It's all Google and Facebook, and then a bit of Japanese flying.
So what I'm hearing is that you think also there are things that can benefit Taiwan from accepting a Chinese identity or accepting
Of course.
being a part of China as well.
Yeah, there are a lot of benefits. So one is what we talk about more like identity and spiritual level, right? Which is coming to terms with the fact that they are Chinese, like stop playing this WWE like theater of Taiwanese, not Chinese act. So that's one. Keeping up the light is very exhausting. So that's one. And two, if we go with a more practical side, a more exchange between the straits, right? Like, let's just focus on, say, tourism. Having more PRC citizens come over to Taiwan will vastly boost its economics. That's just one small slice of the whole pie. And Taiwan, as it stands right now, is a international hobo, hermit. It doesn't have like real diplomatic relations with the vast majority of countries, right? By being part of the PRC, then like you are being part of the world's number one power, and with it comes all the benefits of being the world's number one, right? Yeah.
Oh, no, that's arguable. The number one part, right? But let me play, I guess, the other side for a bit, and that's obviously that there are benefits that you mentioned. That I think the arguments that we hear from the other side is that there are also costs, and the things that people in Taiwan have, there are things, civil rights in particular, that people have in Taiwan that people don't have here. So right to free expression, lack of censorship, or lack of the same level of censorship, the ability to vote for leaders. Is that something also that you would be willing to trade or accept that cost?
Of course. So I will say that maybe the average Taiwanese is not with me on this, but I don't believe in voting at all. I don't believe in democracy. It's a completely failed system that is basically a meme that got everyone in the world, not everyone, but a huge portion of the world brainwashed into thinking it's a good system. And like, to be fair, like, yeah, so after reunification, there probably will be things will be a little more restrictive. But I actually would argue that for the most part, the average citizen in PRC enjoys more freedom than the average American today. And I'm talking about even freedom of speech. And
what do you mean by that?
So do you know the term like PC, or like being PC, being politically correct? Yeah, I don't have to be politically correct in China at all. I can say what's on my mind regarding sensitive topics about class or race in China, and I'll be totally fine. But in America, if I say that, I can like lose my job. I can lose all my friends. And see, that's like an example of more freedom in China and less in America, right? Let's bring in Hong Kong, for example. So what does reunification look like for Taiwan? So one way is to look at what happened with Hong Kong. And for the most part, Hong Kong life is basically the same. Yes, for their elections, I believe the candidates are more aligned with the PRC. But if we look at American elections in 2016, who was supposed to be the Democratic candidate? It was supposed to be Bernie Sanders. And then the DNC did stuff behind the back end, and then suddenly it's Hillary Clinton. So the Americans don't get to choose who their candidates are, but that's all a show. I think in this case where people criticize China for lack of democracy or whatnot, it's usually the kettle calling the pot black, you know.
Yeah. mean, as somebody living in Taiwan who was born there, whose family is from there, what would you say is the mainstream view there? And what is the reaction that people get? I mean, what would you think, indeed, the reaction of your own community, your own family, when you became confident enough to assert this belief?
In terms of things on the ground, so opinions on the ground in Taiwan has been changing very rapidly in the past year in 2025. So as the talk between Zheng Liwen and Xi exemplifies, right, there's the energy of talks, at least engaging in talks between the two sides is more and more going that direction. I think the past year has been very, red pilling has been very, I'm trying not to use too many internet lingos. Red pilling has been...
I actually don't even know what that means. That's just my age.
Awakening for a lot of people.
Right.
Seeing how unreliable America is, right? It's something I mentioned earlier. And Taiwanese people, because they're Chinese, they're practical, they're smart, right? So they realize, oh, crap, we gotta do something. So they realize the winds are blowing different directions, and they realize Big Daddy America is probably not the way forward. And more people are aware of that. Like the one biggest event last year that pissed people off was how much electing the current president in Taiwan bends over backwards to let TSMC operate on American soil, right? So that's Taiwan's golden goose. That's Taiwan's trump card, and he just gives it away like that, and the Taiwanese are very disappointed with how the DPP has been acting. So
you think that your viewpoint is becoming less rare, or
correct
among young people? Because I know that, I mean, there are obviously, for me, I don't know, incorrect or not, that my impression was there was a kind of a generational distinction in what viewpoints were. Like, do you think that among young people the opinion is changing?
I would say so. Cool. So, the app Xiaohongshu or Red Note, right? So a lot of young people in Taiwan are on that, and most of the content there is made by mainlanders. And the young, they not only not care that it's from mainlanders, they're like totally okay with it. And it became such a problem for DPP such that they're finding ways to ban Red Note in Taiwan. Okay, so if we want to talk about freedom and democracy, and you want to criticize PRC for censorship, then why is Taiwan banning apps, And that's just like a big point of hypocrisy among the Taiwan elites.
Do you think your opinion is a fringe opinion among the people in your generation in Taiwan?
So for me specifically, because I'm of the stance that the faster reunification happens, the better. So I would say I'm still more on the rarer side, but at the very least, engaging in dialogue. Okay, just talking, having better relations, that's rapidly increasing. Yeah.
So people do want to see more communication,
of course,
with China.
Mm-hmm.
How do you view this visit happening next week? This is the first visit that we've had since with a sitting, politician in Taiwan to the mainland since 2016. Since my Angel in 2016. So it's very significant. Like, what was your response? Like, what was your reaction when you read this was happening?
Good on her. Good for Taiwan. Good for the whole Chinese nation. The more dialogue, the better. And I don't know Zheng that well, but from the instances I've seen her speak, she's very fiery, very passionate, very well spoken, and I guess somewhat similar to myself, and we just speak our mind and maybe get in trouble for doing that. But I'm glad that from what I've seen, there's less BS and less pretense from Zheng, and I'm glad that she's invited to talk to Xi. I have a lot of mainlander friends, and it's kind of sad that they are not able to come to Taiwan at the moment, right? I'm really happy to see the direction changing for the better.
So you think this is the beginning of a different direction?
Of course.
What direction would do you think, where would you like to see this go? Really? What are the outcomes like from this meeting specifically? I know what your hope is, like, as the big outcome, but what are you hoping will be the immediate outcome, I guess, or the short-term outcome?
Normalizing talking to mainland China, because that's been tabooed by the DPP for many years.
And there's also this one school of thought that, but can you blame them? We've had a lot of military intimidation from Beijing around Taiwan, the increasing some unprecedented military exercises just earlier this year. What is your view on that? I mean, obviously there's some point of that is to intimidate the people in Taiwan, to create an atmosphere of fear, even. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, I understand that a lot of people on the ground in Taiwan don't like it. I totally understand. It's a very uncomfortable feeling, right, to be surrounded like that. But my opinion is that the PRC has been extremely patient with the Taiwan question. They could have used real force many years ago to make reunification happen, but instead they're just making a show and not really pulling the trigger. Again, the reason why they do it is because they want to remind the DPP to not go too far with their shenanigans. And I understand the reasoning and the need to do that, and I also understand why the average folk in Taiwan not responding too well to that either. Yeah.
That's all my main questions. Is there anything that you want to mention? Or do you think that's important?
Sure. Yeah. So as we can see from since Trump stepped into his second term last February or 2 Februaries ago, time flies. The world order has been changing drastically, and with the recent Iran war, the USA has been proven to be very much a paper tiger, and I think countries around the world will reevaluate how they handle foreign policy.
And just that point, because I think that's really interesting. Do you feel that on the ground in Taiwan? Do you think people are actually, that it's changing public, I mean, to the point that more people are going to be like you and vote next time, potentially, for KMT?
Oh yeah, so not only do I feel the energy there, there's already proof, because last summer, July, there was a mass recall election. I don't know if you're aware, but the DPP was trying to impeach a bunch of KMT politicians. I believe it started with 24 candidates. All 24 failed. It was a complete sweep, right? So that tells you how the average person feels in Taiwan. They do not like the DPP right now.
Wow, interesting. Thank you. Do you have any questions? This is Pong, like, I'm sorry, this movie.
Yeah, I'm kind of jealous of you because you can come to visit China. I used to travel to Taiwan a lot, like to cover the elections, took my family tourists. But I have been to Taiwan for the recent 10 years. I wanted to go back. But so, do you think Zheng's coming visit to China is a good sign that actually, at least is a new beginning of dialogues, because the high-ranking politicians visiting, the talking itself is, to me, the talking dialogue itself is good, because even if she goes back with nothing, but by coming here, is a new chapter. She comes, and then maybe someone from other party can come too, because by chatting, that means she is not saying, look, the door is closed, fire. It's not like that. It's like the door is open, let's talk. That is to me is a strong signal that it's not like we're going to have a war soon. It's like still we're open for discussions, maybe negotiations. What do we want? Or what do I want? Let's talk. Do you think the visit itself sends some kind of a signal?
Yeah, of course. Zheng's visit is a very promising sign of things to come. Again, I personally want reunification to happen. I don't know when that will happen, but at the very least, starting dialogues, having people talk. And this is not just limited to Taiwan and mainland China. Everyone can do this, right? We talk first, we try to understand where each one is coming from, we negotiate, we connect before we resort to guns and weapons. So this is all a very good sign, and I certainly hope things trend that way, but as we also know, life is kind of a zigzag, and there are opposing forces at play. And even within the KMT, there are forces that want Zheng to step down, to people who want their forward leg, basically. So I'll just end with that. We live in interesting times.
Okay. Yes, this is true. We do live in interesting times. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.